Welcome to the Dialogue Internet Radio Network and another episode of Dialogue Podcast with Abel Rodriguez.
Hello and welcome to Dialogue with Abel Rodriguez. I'm Abel Rodriguez on the Dialogue Internet Radio Network, and we're very happy to once again be following an issue that is so important to the property taxpayers of El Paso, and that's called lowering our taxes, and I think a lot of people are for that and want that to happen. And our taxing entities, and one of them includes UMC Medical, they've decided that they want to do certificates of obligation, which means that we don't have any say to get the money. And guess what, people? It's $400 million, probably more than that. But they're asking for $400 million. They're going to county commissioners. They're actually trying to start trying to get to that point of, getting county commissioners to approve it. But there is a group here that is called the LIbre Initiative, okay? And they are a group, nonprofit, nonpartisan group that is out, and they normally just do some really neat stuff for our community. They teach financial literacy to people that need help with knowing how to take care of their finances, as far as, how do I get a checkbook? How do I get an account? A lot of people, believe it or not, they don't know that kind of stuff, and they need help with it, but they are too proud to ask. So now we have this group teaching financial literacy, and also something very dear to us, English as a second language. Hey, we're living in El Paso, Texas, and what else is going on in El Paso but English and Spanish? And we'd like to welcome to the Tortuga Studios once again Karla Sierra. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, Abel?
Yeah, Karla's the executive director of the organization, and I met her, and we went ahead and talked about this issue, and I have been sharing all the information that they've put out. I have received negative comments on some of the things, but not because of the issue, which is a nonpartisan issue. It's because who funds who and follow the money and blah, blah, blah. And I just want to tell people that I am an ex-elected official. I won by one vote back when they had chads. I had to worry about hanging chads. Remember that in Florida? And I got elected as precinct chair, winning by one vote. So voting is very important. And when we don't get a chance to vote on the issue,
right,
we get screwed.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think certificates of obligation, certainly a loophole in how our entities can tax us. I really don't understand when it came about. I don't know the history of it. I just know that it's really not a great way to impose another tax burden on the taxpayers. And to do that without voter approval, I think that's even worse. And that's really how they're trying to pass these certificates of obligation with the UMC expenditure. And for us, it really started because of a lack of transparency. And we want the people of El Paso to be able to vote for or against this. And so that's why we started engaging in this issue.
So were you sitting in your office and all of a sudden you saw something on the news, or how did you engage on this target?
Well, UMC is not the only taxing entity that has actually passed certificates of obligation. There are other taxing entities. We have 5 in El Paso that have actually passed certificates of obligation. And I think at that time when I had reached out to our leadership team and said, this is going to be a pretty huge deal for voters, certificates of obligation without voter approval. And at that time last year, the city had passed, I think, a couple of COs. And so I was just learning more about it. But this time when UMC tried to pass something like this, I think the important part for us was that they were trying to hide this process from the voters and from the El Paso community. And so we really want to make sure that, they're held accountable for that. And, they can say it's 2%, it's 22%, and change the numbers around so it sounds a little bit better to the El Paso people. But I think they're all smart. At the end of the day, this is a debt without voter approval that will affect their property taxes, and that's really what they're looking at. So that's what we're going to continue to educate folks about that issue.
Well, let's talk about the industry of the medical complex.
Yes.
I mentioned last time when you were on with me that Elliot Shapley was trying so hard to get a university to teach for doctors to come out of.
Right.
And he worked hard on it and all that. And what was really interesting was that we have a university here, and yet some other university from out of town saw the value of it, and they jumped in the pool, and I'm talking about Texas Tech.
Yes.
And but they have medical schools. I believe over there in Lubbock also. But the thing is that it attracted what Elliot Shapley was trying to accomplish. It attracted stakeholders that knew that there was money there to make it work. Because of, you got to train doctors, but then you got to have somewhere to train them after you teach them but the book stuff. Yes. And then, you got this hospital. And what did they do? They built it right across the street from UMC Medical.
Yes.
And then there was an election for the Children's Hospital.
Right.
And it was highly argued on both sides. Mm-hmm. And yet, it got voted in, fine. I thought it was going to be a little bigger, but it's not. But that's okay. It still serves the needs of sick children. I sat on the board of Candlelighters for quite a few years and was very aware of the issue of cancer and children and kids.
Right.
And it's an ugly thing. I can tell you that I could think of something right now. Candlelighters, what a beautiful organization that's here. Scott Lynch runs it. He's the executive director over there. But he got funded, just like you all are funded, through Savers. Cut a deal with Savers. So when you go and donate, and part of that money goes to fund Candlelighters. And Candlelighters, let me tell you, they put on a lot of program.
Yes.
They put on the summer camps, one summer camp, a whole week for sick kids, another summer camp for their siblings.
Oh, wow.
Because no one ever thinks about what the siblings are going through, right? They're getting just as messed up as everything because of all the family things about one of their brothers or sisters has cancer. They also pay for funerals. They also pay for people that they can go talk to after the child has passed with the parents. They help pay for their financial needs because cancer sucks the money out of a family.
Absolutely.
And think about that, okay? Think about that. They do the right things for that category.
Right.
So now we have you all, and you're doing some great things in your categories, and yet you still jumped into this issue. So I know that you've gotten a little press on this.
Yes.
We ran the podcast, and we woke up some people and then passed some stuff around, and you have, but actually what you have begun is the war.
Yes.
Because it's going to be. Well, they don't know what you're talking about, that and it started yesterday, actually. The Channel 9 KTSM did a story, and they went to the other side to ask them, and all of a sudden, they're saying that no more than 2%, and yet you all were saying in your flyer 22%.
Right.
So apparently there's some funny math going on, some fuzzy math, and but now you're gonna have to go figure out how the heck did they do that math, and then come back and say, here's the back door, right? Because there's a back door on that number going from what you found out to what they're actually claiming.
Right. And we started off, the way that we were able to come up with this 22%, and, we were being transparent, and this information can be found on the public notice. Obviously, if you want to do the math, you're more than welcome to. But initially, they actually presented this, number, which is 5.68 cents, to the County Commissioner's Court on June 27th, and they said that their new proposed rate, they wanted to increase it by that much. So 5.68 cents, right? So their current rate is 0.25. If you divide the 0.05, the 0.568 rate divided by their current rate, it gives us 0.22, right? So multiply that by 100, that's 22%. So it would increase it would increase UMC or the hospital district's tax rate by 22%. And now, the 2% that they're talking about, that would be the entire property tax bill. So they're now bringing in YSD and EPCC and, all the other taxing entities and saying, well, yes, there's 5 taxing entities and your entire property tax bill will only go up by 2%. But what we're saying is that it's going to go up 22% just for that one taxing entity, which is UMC.
Inside what is 5 of them,
yes,
their portion is going up 22%.
Exactly. And so, it like I said, it was presented to the county commissioners on their June 27th meeting. That's where we got the 5.68 cents rate. If that has changed, since then, I'm not aware that they've reduced the rate in any way, but that's where we are getting the math. And I know there was a little bit of confusion on that, and some folks were asking us questions, how did you get that number, right? And so that's how we got that number. I'm terrible at math, to be honest, but, when it comes to like my property taxes, you can even go a step further and actually use that rate to calculate your new tax rate for UMC. So if your home, is valued at $150, you multiply it by the new rate, you could actually get what that would increase would be. So that's kind of where we got our numbers from. I can't speak to their side. I don't know where their 2% came from or how they came to that number, but that's how we got our 22%.
Well, I will tell you that I believe that their marketing budget is way too high because they're out there saying we're this and we're that and all that. But I'm really interested to know that this has got to be, did they hire a marketing firm to help them try to get this through?
That's a great question. So UMC, and this is another separate issue, right? We haven't gotten involved in it. I know other cities have, but it's called taxpayer funded lobbying. And so essentially what happens is that UMC has a government affairs relations person or, like you said, a marketing person. And even though the people of El Paso do not want this to pass, they are still going out there and lobbying the community or lobbying legislators to make sure that it passes on our dime. So, they're actually using taxpayer money to fund, them lobbying for this project. So I don't know what their marketing budget is, but I do know that they are pretty heavily going out there and having community meetings all around El Paso.
Well, normally the formula,
yes,
right, is to have those meetings.
Right.
And then, calculate the data from those meetings and try to twist it into their favorable type of pretzel, right? And then pass out that information, and they'll go somewhere like Commissioner's Court, and they'll say, we had meetings, we collected data, and this is what the data tells us.
Yes.
That they want. It's like anything else. When you're trying to, if you get a grand jury and you're trying to indict somebody, they could indict a bagel with a grand with a grand jury if it's done correctly. So that all I'm saying is that it's turning into a battle now. Not just so much the fact that as it is, you're chasing 25,000 signatures,
exactly,
but that now they're going to be trying to shoot holes in what you're saying,
right? And
you're going to have to defend yourself.
Absolutely, and we completely understand that. And we, LIbre, myself, my team, we have nothing to hide. We have nothing to hide. When we talk to people at the door or when they come to our office and say, "I want to sign the petition," they're very well aware that we are opposed to this. They're aware that we're opposed to this. However, this process doesn't mean that it's not going to pass. It just means that we want to get it on the ballot, and we want. At the end of the day, if El Paso comes out and votes and says, you know what, we need all this stuff, then at least we were able to go through the democratic process, but now that's essentially being taken away from us, which is what we're trying to do.
Isn't it funny how that's happening all over the country?
Yes.
The democratic process is being stomped on.
Right.
I wish it was called something else because when you say democratic process, yes, they automatically just go demo.
Right.
And it's all of us. It is all of us. This is a nonpartisan issue. I got attacked because, I know it and you know it, and we'll be transparent. The funding that you all receive does come from a group of guys that everybody knows, and it's the Koch brothers, and I call them like that. But,
I know.
But the point is that if you get funded to do good, I don't care what side of the bridge it comes from.
Thank you.
Period. We cry about, El Paso community is a low-income community because they don't get educated, and they just go out and, they'll have a family so young, and they don't get educated, and they don't know nothing about nada, and, I mean, that's what they use here, okay?
Right.
And the reason I bring that up is because that is the exact plan that was put out there by a huge advertising agency here about downtown.
Right.
You know which one?
Yeah, I do.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Then? Where they showed a picture of a Mexican older man with a straw hat and jeans and all that, and they let people describe what they saw, and right away, some of the first stuff coming up, poor, uneducated,
Right.
blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Well, these are the people that are downtown, and they're waiting for the bus in San Jacinto Plaza,
Yes.
and we have vagrancy, and we have, and that's, wouldn't it be nice to clean downtown up? To the tune of gentrification, part of it,
Yes.
to the tune of making money. Look, we know how the world goes round. We know that this is normal.
Right.
We're not saying it's abnormal, but it's got to come with some fairness.
Of course.
That's all we have left in life, really. Fairness.
Right.
Okay, we understand, but be a little fair to us, and why don't you make Duranguito into Olvera Street, Plaza de la Raza? Have all the stuff there, and then all the people that come to your conventions and to your stuff, they get to go and see the Hispanic culture of the city. And next thing you know, they can buy sarapes here, and they can buy, because no one wants to go to Juarez anymore, even though they do. But what happened in Juarez killed off a lot of their tourism.
Exactly.
So bring it over here.
Right.
Hey, have you been to Hatch?
I have, yes.
Now, what happens when you go looking for the chili in Hatch? There's nothing but Mexican chucheria everywhere. Yeah. There's planters, there's iguanas, they're brightly painted, and I saw the prices of them, and I went, wow.
Yeah.
So you come for the chile, and then you take home the flower pot.
Take everything else home with you.
But you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
It would be a wonderful concept. My whole idea, and no one listens to me, but my whole idea was to have nonprofits fight for the buildings. Bigger nonprofits want the bigger building, and then they give them seed money to put up something that is going to be great for tourism plus informational. But who am I? I'm just a little short, fat Mexican.
We listen to you, Abel.
From Paso, Texas.
But I do want to go back to your earlier comment about Mr. Charles and David Koch. Unfortunately, Mr. David Koch passed away a few years ago.
Yes.
He did try to run for president, and I think his platform was very diverse. He even fought for LGBTQ rights. He even signed, something saying that he was for gay marriage and things like that. And so, Charles Koch, he saw something in Daniel Garza and said, listen, I want to help you start this nonprofit that's going to empower the Hispanic community. I mean,
what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? What are the Democrats?
Sure.
What are the Democrats doing?
I'm not sure.
What are the Democrats doing? We can't look. We got over 500,000 registered voters, according to our voting people. That they were all happy. They announced it. Hey, we got over 500,000. How do you get them to the polls?
Right.
Just because you got somebody to sign a piece of paper and prove that they're a citizen or whatever, and then they get the card. How do you get that card to the ballot box?
Right.
That's the whole thing. Exactly. And we talked about the model that most people that run for office here have to follow, and that's the go after the 3-time in a row voter in their and send their house. This is probably one of the few places where mail-outs, the most expensive thing you can put out there, in color, and they're shooting them out by the millions,
right?
And it's funny, but where's our voting numbers? I mean, where are they? The only thing that motivated us more than anything was trying to get the devil out of heaven. Yeah. And the swamp. I'm going to replace the swamp. Well, no, you brought much worse than the swamp, brother. You brought your own swamp.
Yeah.
And they're much more crazier than everybody else. But the point is that if someone's putting up money for a good reason, that's going to help people to develop into a profession, develop into a better person, develop into a more financially astute person. Mm-hmm. Why not? They're not doing it in the high schools.
Right.
They're not doing it in the... what's funny, too, you would think about in the grade schools, they made you vote for everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Right? You voted. You didn't even know, I'm voting again?
Yes, exactly.
But you voted for everything in grade school and high school and all that and that kind of stuff. And then once you got that freshman in high school, it's like, chale. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. Well, guess what, dude? Mm-hmm. It may not bother you while you're a chavo.
Yes.
But when you get into manhood,
exactly,
you're going to say, what?
Yes.
Well, how much is this? What? And then, I want to buy a house. Okay, great. Taxes? Well, why? Well, who's going to pay for the streets? Well, I see nothing but potholes in the streets. So apparently no one's paying for it. That whole mentality.
Exactly.
So you got an event coming up, I believe, next week.
Yeah. We have an event on the 17th. It's going to be, a panel of some people that are actually kind of supporting the effort, and so they're going to come and kind of talk about why they're supporting this effort and wanting to get this on the ballot. So we'll have two separate panels. Obviously, this type of debt will affect a lot of industries. So building, apartments, real estate. So
they're coming to be on the panel.
Yes, we will have guest speakers that will speak directly about those industries.
Right.
And so, I really think that the more information that we get out there about this, I really want people to make an informed decision. I want them to sign the petition if they want to, because they believe that this is the right thing to do. And, we don't want them to sign it because we're feeding them, things that aren't true or because they feel pressured. No, we really want to sit down and have a conversation with folks about why we're doing this. And the reason has nothing to do with, we're trying to be disrespectful with, UMC or any other individual that's part of that organization. We started this because of transparency, and we started this because we want to be able for the El Paso community to have a vote. And those were the only two reasons that we started this.
Well, there's no disrespect. We're talking about UMC wants money, but they don't seem to know how to make money. They want our money. And they want our money, and they want to take it right in where we have our roots down in our homes and our property taxes. And, they don't like to hear it. That CEO over there, I wouldn't even mention his name. But I will tell you that I don't like the guy. Think he's crass. This is my opinion, by the way. I think he's not for the people. And I think he just sees it as a way to try to make money in the, quote, category of cancer. I understand. Hey, all the other hospitals, by the way, they have cancer wings. Palmas del Sol Medical, they have a whole wing. Mm-hmm. Cancer. Providence has cancer. They're all in it together.
Yeah.
Now, for someone to say, I want the lion's share of the money to poor people that get cancer, that's what it sounds like to me, Mr. CEO of UMC Medical. You ever thought of it that way? Don't just look at us as a wallet, dude. Don't just look at us as a wallet. In this particular case, now remember, COs get snuck by us all the time.
Yes.
All the time. The city's done COs, county probably done COs. Other the water company's probably done COs. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, I remember the water company having someone on the commission that they were doing business with. What? It drives me crazy. The kind of shenanigans, that's a good word.
Yeah.
Shenanigans that go on, okay? But they do go on, and it's not just El Paso. It goes on everywhere.
Absolutely.
But the fact is, as taxpayers, all we're asking for is fair.
Right.
What is fair?
Mm-hmm.
Your son wants to go on a date, but he doesn't have no money, and you say, well, what do you need? and the son says $150, and the parents say, well, and then the son says 100. What? You know, until it gets down to about maybe 50, and then the parents go, okay, here. But you know, and it is a simple way of thinking of it.
Right.
But it's really pretty much a good blueprint of how easy it should be without all the sidebarring. How they're sidebarring you guys, saying about that you guys are way off on your number and it's only 2%, and you've already just discussed how they played that game.
Right.
You know, so tell us what time, or can you get it on Zoom?
Actually, we're going to do a Facebook Live, so on the 17th, 5:30. So if you want to look at the, the presentation, it'll be at 5:30, and you can follow us at LIbre Texas, so on Facebook. We'll make sure to post the event and just, give some information to, pretty prominent folks in the community that are not in support of this. And I think that if we are able to hear not just LIBRE's perspective, not just UMC's, but other folks in the community that disagree with this, I think that would be really helpful for El Paso as well.
Well, we need, the information should get out there. The whole goal is 25,000 signatures. Okay, that is the goal. And, it can happen. It can happen. And it still just might happen, but it'll only happen if you sign the petition.
Exactly.
And remember, you don't have to be a property owner. You just got to be a voter, an official voter, and have, as long as you're an official voter, you sign it, you put the right information in, including date of birth. I don't know if somebody wants to put date of birth in it. And that's how they match it. Okay, and understand, they're going to have to turn these petitions in, and then they're going to get vetted, which means that, this guy, he's dead, or they'll say, they're going to bring, when they vet him, it's to knock names off the list to get it under, and then it didn't pass enough to worry about it for the election. That's that's the game that's being played right now.
Right.
So understand that we need you to sign. If you got somewhere that they can go sign, all you got to do is send them an email, right? Or
exactly, yeah. So ksierra@belibre.org. So it's BELIBRE.org. They can email me. We have been getting some good response that way. People are like, I'm at work all day, and I'll send my team out there to get the signature. So we have been getting some good response on that. People coming to our office and signing. Had 6 people come in yesterday. So 1155 Westmoreland Drive, Suite 212. And so reach
what side of town is that?
That's kind of in between Cielo Vista and Hawkins.
It's like Central.
Yeah, so
the
Central.
New Central.
Yes, the new Central. Yeah, we're happy to come to you. We'll figure it out, but we understand that folks are busy, but we understand that this is an important issue, and we will get the petition to you to sign it. And
either way, whatever happens, okay, I can guarantee you that the LIbre initiative will follow this all the way to the end, and they've already been to county commissioners, they've already presented facts, but whatever happens, when this gets to the point about voting, I believe that they're going to have people out in the hallways, plus every seat in that county commissioner's meeting room full, and with eyeballs staring, and we'll see what happens. There's a lot of people that are now making a living off of the medical industrial complex. Mm-hmm. And when I say a lot of people, it's just not just nurses and doctors and x-ray technicians and all that. It's the people that clean the building. It's the people that supply supplies for the building. Over by UMC Medical, at lunchtime they got food trucks out there.
Yes.
So that's an economic part of this engine.
Of course.
So a lot of people are involved in this, but a lot of people also are paying $3,000 to $5,000 a year in taxes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That anywhere else could be like $1,500 to maybe $2,000.
Yeah.
Think about that. We are tapped out.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Our credit is over with.
Yes.
And guess what happens after all that? They're called the collectors. The Children's Hospital has filed for bankruptcy once.
Yes.
To avoid what? The collectors.
Yes.
Because they weren't making their payments correctly as the Children's Hospital.
Right.
So what did they do? They got that shield that's there for anybody, and they filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Sounds like they needed to go to some of your classes for financial literacy. My
Yeah,
God.
well, we're going to have some in September, so they're welcome to join us.
So, anything else?
No, I mean, just anything that we can do to help to clarify what LIbre's stance is. We're happy to talk to anyone and walk through everything. But, I mean, at the end of the day, if we kind of stick to the issue, right, which the issue is transparency and the issue is giving us an opportunity to vote. That's what we want. We want to get it on the ballot, but we can't do it by ourselves. So, we're happy to come to your home, place of business, grab a signature. If you want to take a sheet and collect some signatures for us, that's also very helpful. So we just need to rally together. We still have time, so I'm just hoping that people are motivated to actually jump on board and help with this.
We've been talking with Karla Sierra. She's the CEO for the LIbre initiative, and they're working on this nonpartisan issue that I think everybody should listen to and get excited about. I got a couple more places that are interested in possibly talking to you. So I'm gonna help you with that. But hey, we're gonna keep doing these podcasts with Abel Rodriguez and keeping you up to date on what's going on this deal about $400 million. What? You heard right. $400 million coming out in pennies out of our pockets because there's so many of us, but still our money. And on a certificate of obligation, which means that we don't get to vote on it unless we get this initiative on the ballot. So please, please, please go to libreinitiative.com, right?
Yes, or our social media at LIbre Texas.
At LIbre Texas, and you can see the information there. I'll have this podcast up and get it going. But remember, people, we need to stay together as taxpayers, and we need to put our foot down when we have to. Te guacho, raza.
Thank you for listening to Dialogue Podcast with Abel Rodriguez. Remember to like us on Facebook at Dialogue Podcast with Abel Rodriguez, or you can email us at Abel, A-B-E-L, at dialogueep.com. And remember to catch all of our podcasters on dialogueep.com.